And now on Nights with Steve Price from the 50-Up Club, Christopher Zinn.
We catch up with Christopher each Thursday night, and after the budget there has been clearly a rush of older Australians off to see financial advisors to try and sort out their superannuation because it has become a very delicate mess. But in the middle of all of that, there are some shady characters around who are happy to scam anyone they can out of their money. Now, the last thing we want in a time of low returns, because interest rates clearly are not giving you a return on your money that would allow you to become a self-funded retiree, there are people who try and flog schemes, and we've seen this in the past, to people with stories, wild stories of what you can get back on your money. Christopher Zinn's going to tell us about a few of those tonight. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Pretty
Steve.
volatile climate, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's, we're a wealthy country. Superannuation means that at retirement age, people have to make decisions around their money, and the scamsters, who predominantly come from overseas, we're told, really target those people and try and make offers that naturally are far too good to be true, and before you know it, they've gone over it. And some individuals have lost more than $1 million. So it's not just nickels and dimes. There's some very big money involved.
From a financial point of view, the last time we saw this was, we had, of course, a booming stock market that crashed in 97 with the GFC. But prior to that, people were making money hand over fist in share investments and in property trusts. And into the market crept some fairly unsavoury characters who pushed people to borrowing limits where they never should have been, convinced them that they could borrow large amounts of money to buy shares. Some of the companies in those share portfolios crashed during the GFC, and people were left owing more than what their portfolio was worth. Are we in that field, in that area again?
No, this is a bit different. I mean, many of those were domestically grown ventures. These things really do predominantly come from overseas, and the approach is often through the telephone or via the internet. Surprising amount still through the telephone. So there's business ventures, superannuation schemes, managed funds, and shares. It seems to be less in terms of the property areas, but of course it does include those.
We talked on the project on Monday night about how older people are vulnerable when it comes in particular to people offering them money that's too good to be true, or love when it's not there.
Yeah, and it is those dating and romance scams that are sort of, neck and neck with the investment scams. And really, the two together, that was about half the money lost to people in the over 55 group. And, and about 40% of all losses were for people over 55. So, look, they are more vulnerable, one, because they probably have more money, and also they're looking for options. As the ACCC, who came up with these figures, said, it really is in this low interest rate environment where people are particularly vulnerable, and the scammers are mindful that Australia's a real honeypot in that sense.
And one of the problems it appears to be, Christopher, is people get scammed at the start and they lose a smallish amount of money, $1,000, $1,500, and they then go chasing that money to get it back by giving out more money, and so they end up doubling their losses because they think, I'll have another go, I'm sure if I spend just a little bit more I can get my money back.
This is a phenomenon known in the stock market as well, as people who, when the stocks or when shares are crashing, refuse to get out and realise they're lost. In fact, buy more because they think it must go up. So, look, we can be fairly counterintuitive in that sense. But yeah, I mean, the problem with this too is the complete underreporting. One, because people are somewhat shamefaced, be it investment or dating scams. But the other thing is that they refuse to acknowledge it is a scam. So even when it's pointed out, and the ACCC and other agencies have ways of charting suspicious transactions, and they've been able to alert people that this actually, ticks all the boxes of being a rolled gold rip-off, yet people refuse to believe it. So, I mean, it is an extraordinary thing, and one, I wouldn't say take our hats off to the scammers. They find ways to not only trick us, but keep tricking us until some people are well and truly emptied.
It's incredible to think that anybody would even engage with an email or a person when the word Nigeria is mentioned. I mean, surely that just starts alarm bells ringing, doesn't it?
Well, you'd have thought so. I mean, they don't always put Nigeria high up there, and some of them come from, Eastern Europe and Asia and Russia and all over. But, I mean, that is good. It is often people with whom English is not the first language, so grammatical and spelling errors and other things should put one on the alert. But look, people, it is extraordinary. And having got some of these Nigerian scam letters myself, as I'm sure you have, I always read them, that there is just that. I mean, I know it's rubbish, but there is that little tinge of possibility and the outrageousness. So obviously, there's a very low cost of entry. They can send out, hundreds of thousands of these things. If it's just 0.00 whatever percent of people who get back and they make contact with the ACCC, say sometimes they spend months and even years drawing these people closer and closer and getting their confidence, and then saying someone's ill or putting a demand on them, and the payday obviously comes through.
It sounds simple, but the simple advice should be don't ever give anyone your bank account details. That is just craziness. And what a lot of these scammers do, they send you a letter saying you've been lucky in a lottery in Malaysia, you've had a scratchy ticket win, you're going to pick up $135,000. We'll send you the cash. You just need to send us a deposit, holding deposit, and your bank account details. Next thing you know, your bank account's drained of money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some of it is the so-called phishing, and that's the PHISING expedition to get your details to take loans out in your name. So it's not always directly taking money out of your account. But look, enough of that happened. And I mean, my advice would actually if it's a suspicious email or one you don't know, just delete without opening. There's all sorts of malware and other things that can happen around there. But I mean, look, they call, goodness knows where they get your number. I had a call from, the old one of the computer. The computer's wrong. We want to fix it. And, of course, it's completely wrong sorts of computers. They're at it hard and strong, because obviously there's a return on it. And you just need to make sure that you're not the one that they are going to get a return out of.
I think ASIC's Money Smart website's pretty good, isn't it?
It's very good. And I would certainly recommend that. I mean, it is a National Consumer Fraud Week. They're the ACCC, that's the Consumer and Competition Commission. They have their Scam Watch. ASIC have Money Smart. There's a lot of resources to really use. I mean, you have to go online to do it, so if you're too suspicious of being online. But they also have some brochures as well. But I suppose the easiest thing, if in doubt, do not engage. Run a mile, because, once you can be snared, who knows where it might end.
Always a pleasure to catch up, Chris. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve.
Christopher Zinn from the 50Up Club.